Imagine standing on a crowded beach. In front of you stretches an ocean stained red, red with the blood of competition. Every company is fighting for territory, clawing for customers, cutting prices, mimicking each other's moves. The water is churning, full of energy, but going nowhere new. This is what authors W. Chan Kim and Renée Mauborgne call the red ocean, the existing marketplace where industry boundaries are defined and the rules are known. The goal here is survival. You fight for a slice of existing demand, defend market share, and maybe, if you're lucky, you grow slightly faster than your rivals. But it's a brutal game. As competition intensifies, profits shrink, innovation stalls, and the joy of creation is replaced by the fear of being left behind. Now look beyond that red expanse. Far out, there's another horizon, vast and calm, shimmering with potential. That is the blue ocean, a metaphor for new, uncontested market space where competition simply doesn't exist because you've created something so original that others can't yet follow. Here, instead of fighting over customers, you create new ones. Instead of chasing trends, you invent them. Instead of surviving in a bloody war of sameness, you thrive in a sea of possibility. This, Kim and Mauborgne say, is the real essence of strategic innovation. The premise: strategy isn't about beating rivals, it's about making them irrelevant. Most business education, from classical economics to modern MBA programs, is obsessed with competition. We measure success by market share and treat rivals as the primary point of reference. But blue ocean strategy flips that thinking upside down. Kim and Mauborgne argue that the central problem with traditional strategy is that it's built on scarcity, a belief that demand is limited and the only way to win is to take from someone else. That's the logic of the red ocean, a fixed pie. But what if the pie could grow? What if, instead of fighting over what exists, you create entirely new demand by offering something people didn't even know they wanted? The authors used decades of research across industries, from airlines and software to wine, retail, and entertainment, to prove that the most successful companies weren't those that competed harder, but those that redefined the game itself. Think of Apple's iTunes, Cirque du Soleil, or Netflix. None of these companies entered their markets simply to compete. They reimagined what the market could be. The visionary shift from exploitation to creation. Red ocean thinking is exploitative. It tries to squeeze more value out of existing demand through cost-cutting, efficiency, and incremental improvement. Blue ocean thinking is creative. It's about building new demand through imagination, empathy, and experimentation. This is not just a business concept, it's a psychological shift. It asks you to let go of the comfort of the known, the safety of benchmarking, the thrill of small wins against rivals, and venture into the uncertainty of innovation. It's the difference between swimming harder in crowded waters and daring to sail beyond the horizon. The authors liken this to a mental act of courage. Escaping from the gravity of competition requires a willingness to rethink what value even means. Most companies ask, how can we improve what already exists? But blue ocean leaders ask, what if we completely redefined what better looks like? The economic and human dimension. The brilliance of the blue ocean idea is that it combines economics and humanity. It's about growth, yes, but also about creativity, meaning, and purpose. When a business creates a new market, it doesn't just make money, it changes lives. Think of how Starbucks transformed the daily coffee routine into an emotional ritual, how Tesla reframed cars as technological statements, or how Spotify turned ownership of music into a shared experience of access. Each of these examples didn't just take market share, they expanded the definition of what the market could be. That expansion benefits everyone, the company, the customers, even the competitors who later adapt. The authors remind us that strategy at its best is not about destruction. It's about creation, expanding opportunity rather than shrinking it.
The promise, a systematic path to innovation. Here's what makes Blue Ocean's strategy stand apart from vague books about creativity or disruption. Kim and Mauborgne don't just tell you to think differently. They offer a structured method for doing so, a reproducible process grounded in data, analysis, and psychological insight. They studied 150 strategic moves over 100 years across 30 industries and distilled the patterns of those who escaped the red ocean. The result is a set of tools, the strategy canvas, the 4 actions framework, and the eliminate, reduce, raise, create grid that any leader or entrepreneur can use to systematically build their own blue ocean. This is not a book for dreamers alone. It's for builders, people who want to translate vision into action. The deeper invitation. At its heart, the introduction of Blue Ocean strategy is a call to bravery. It challenges the mindset of fear, the belief that the only way to survive is to fight harder, cheaper, faster. It whispers a different truth, that the greatest rewards belong to those who refuse to play by existing rules and instead invent new ones. It's not only a business revolution, but a philosophical one. It asks every reader, executive, creator, or dreamer a simple question. Will you stay in the red ocean and fight for survival? Or will you venture into the blue, where creation begins? If this idea already stirs something in you, that sense that your work, your business, or your creativity could mean more, then this journey is for you. Stick around because we're diving deep into the 6 core principles that will teach you how to chart your own blue ocean and leave the old map behind. Subscribe now and let's explore the art of creating markets, not competing in them. The sea is wide, the horizon endless, and your next move could change everything.
Chapter 1. Reconstruct market boundaries. Breaking the boundaries, not competing within them. In the traditional world of business strategy, markets are seen as fixed maps. Each company knows its boundaries, its competitors, and its share of the pie. But this map is an illusion, and a dangerous one. W. Chan Kim and Renée Mauborgne argue that market boundaries are not laws of nature. They're human constructs, mental cages built from habit, fear, and convention. To innovate, you must first see beyond the lines everyone else accepts as real. This is the heart of blue ocean thinking. Don't fight over territory in the existing red oceans. Instead, create a new ocean, vast, clear, and free from competition. From competing inside the box to redrawing the map. Most business leaders start by asking, where do we stand within the industry? But blue ocean leaders ask a far better question. Can we redefine the industry itself? That shift in mindset changes everything. Instead of repairing an old ship battered by competition, they build a new vessel that sails on calm waters, waters they created.
The goal is not to beat the competition, but to make the competition irrelevant. The core idea: market boundaries are elastic. Markets aren't natural formations. They're the result of decades of assumptions, habits, and copycat behavior. Take Cirque du Soleil, for example. It challenged the idea that a circus must be cheap entertainment for children. By merging elements of theater, dance, and live music, Cirque du Soleil reinvented the circus, turning it into a sophisticated art form for adults. They didn't compete with other circuses. They created a brand new category.
The 6 Paths Framework. The authors introduce 6 systematic ways to break out of the competitive trap and reconstruct market boundaries. The 6 Paths Framework. Each path invites you to look beyond the obvious and question the assumptions that keep industries trapped. 1. Look across alternative industries. Don't just compare yourself to competitors in your own field. Ask what other industries satisfy the same need in different ways. Example: NetJets created the concept of fractional jet ownership. Instead of selling or chartering entire private jets, they allowed customers to buy a share of a plane. This hybrid model combined the luxury of private aviation with the convenience and affordability of commercial flights, creating a new industry space. 2. Look across strategic groups within the industry. Every industry serves different customer tiers: luxury, mid-range, budget. But innovation often comes from targeting those who are ignored. Example: Curves, the women's-only fitness chain, noticed that traditional gyms intimidated many women. By creating a small, comfortable, supportive environment, Curves opened a new market: fitness for ordinary women, not athletes. 3. Look across the chain of buyers. Who actually influences the purchase? The user, the buyer, or the influencer? Sometimes shifting your focus from one to another can open new possibilities. Example: Novo Nordisk, a pharmaceutical company, began designing insulin pens for patients, not just doctors. By focusing on usability and lifestyle, they made diabetes care more human and expanded their market dramatically. 4. Look across complementary products and services. Think about the customer's entire journey. Ask what happens before, during, and after they use our product. Example: when hotels realized that guests spent a lot of time searching for local attractions, some chains created curated digital travel guides, enhancing the guest experience and adding new value without changing the core service. 5. Look across functional and emotional appeal. Some industries compete on price and utility, functional appeal, while others compete on luxury and feelings, emotional appeal. Blue Ocean innovators blend the two. Example: Swatch transformed the watch industry by turning timepieces into fashion accessories. They combined affordability, function, with self-expression, emotion, creating a new mass market for stylish watches. 6. Look across time. Trends reshape markets. Instead of reacting to them, anticipate them. Ask, where will customer value shift next? Example: Tesla didn't wait for electric cars to become popular. It made them desirable, aligning itself with long-term environmental, technological, and cultural trends. Beyond the framework, a shift in vision. This chapter is more than a toolkit. It's a mindset revolution. It challenges the myth that innovation is random or reserved for geniuses. Instead, it presents creativity as a disciplined process that anyone can learn. Blue Ocean leaders are not warriors fighting for territory, they are explorers mapping new seas. They don't ask, how do we win the race? But rather, can we create a race of our own? Chapter 2. Focus on the big picture, not the numbers. When strategy loses its soul. Most companies believe they are being strategic when they produce endless spreadsheets, forecasts, and performance charts. But numbers, while comforting, can quietly trap an organization inside the very box it wants to escape from. Kim and Mauborgne argue that this obsession with metrics leads to strategic blindness. Companies become so focused on improving yesterday's results that they forget to imagine tomorrow's world. They polish the same old map, never realizing they could redraw it entirely. A true blue ocean strategy starts not with accounting, but with vision. A clear picture of what your organization could become if you stopped competing and started creating. Strategy as storytelling. Strategy in the blue ocean sense is not an analytical document. It's a story. It should tell people where we're going, why it matters, and how we'll get there together. The authors encourage leaders to translate their plans into visual narratives, sketches, storyboards, and one-page maps that everyone can grasp. When people can see the strategy, they begin to believe in it. That's why the authors introduce the strategy canvas, a simple yet powerful visual tool that maps how an industry competes and where your company could break away from the pack. The strategy canvas, seeing your industry differently. Imagine a graph. The horizontal axis lists key factors on which an industry competes: price, quality, features, service, etc. The vertical axis measures how much each competitor invests in these factors. Plotting this data creates a line, your industry's strategic profile. When you overlay your own company's line, you can immediately see where everyone is crowding and where open space still exists. The goal is simple. Find the space on that chart where nobody else is competing. That's your blue ocean.
The 4-step visualizing process. The authors suggest a hands-on 4-step process that helps teams move from data to vision, from talk to transformation. 1. Visual awakening. Leaders first map their current strategic position on the strategy canvas, a sobering moment for many. They often find that their company looks exactly like everyone else's. That realization becomes a spark for change. 2. Visual exploration. Next, they go out into the field, visiting customers, non-customers, even rival industries, to discover what people truly value and what they ignore. This stage is about curiosity over confirmation. The goal is not to defend your old strategy, but to uncover unspoken needs. 3. Visual strategy fair. Teams present their new strategy canvases to colleagues, customers, and stakeholders, in essence, testing their vision in public. This creates a feedback loop that grounds creativity in reality. 4. Visual communication. Finally, the new strategy is turned into a single-page visual, a map everyone in the organization can understand at a glance. This is not a PowerPoint deck with 50 slides. It's a North Star, clear, bold, and emotionally compelling. A shift from logic to imagination. What Kim and Mauborgne emphasize is radical. The future belongs not to the company that analyzes best, but to the one that imagines most vividly. Data can describe the past, but only imagination can design the future. When teams are encouraged to draw, to visualize, to simplify, they unlock a different kind of intelligence. This is where the blue ocean mind begins to form, a mindset that sees constraints as invitations to create. Example, the case of Southwest Airlines. Before Southwest Airlines disrupted the aviation world, airline companies competed on luxury, meals, and service. Southwest, by mapping the strategy canvas, realized something simple. Most travelers didn't want frills. They wanted reliable, low-cost, point-to-point travel. By cutting out extras, using smaller airports, and turning planes around quickly, Southwest redefined what air travel meant. It wasn't competing with other airlines anymore, it was competing with the car. That's how it created a blue ocean.
Chapter 2. Focus on the big picture, not the numbers. When strategy loses its soul. Most companies believe they are being strategic when they produce endless spreadsheets, forecasts, and performance charts. But numbers, while comforting, can quietly trap an organization inside the very box it wants to escape from. Kim and Mauborgne argue that this obsession with metrics leads to strategic blindness. Companies become so focused on improving yesterday's results that they forget to imagine tomorrow's world. They polish the same old map, never realizing they could redraw it entirely. A true blue ocean strategy starts not with accounting, but with vision. A clear picture of what your organization could become if you stopped competing and started creating. Strategy as storytelling. Strategy in the blue ocean sense is not an analytical document. It's a story. It should tell people where we're going, why it matters, and how we'll get there together. The authors encourage leaders to translate their plans into visual narratives, sketches, storyboards, and one-page maps that everyone can grasp. When people can see the strategy, they begin to believe in it. That's why the authors introduce the strategy canvas, a simple yet powerful visual tool that maps how an industry competes and where your company could break away from the pack. The strategy canvas, seeing your industry differently. Imagine a graph. The horizontal axis lists key factors on which an industry competes: price, quality, features, service, etc. The vertical axis measures how much each competitor invests in these factors. Plotting this data creates a line, your industry's strategic profile. When you overlay your own company's line, you can immediately see where everyone is crowding and where open space still exists. The goal is simple. Find the space on that chart where nobody else is competing. That's your blue ocean.
The 4-step visualizing process. The authors suggest a hands-on 4-step process that helps teams move from data to vision, from talk to transformation. 1. Visual awakening. Leaders first map their current strategic position on the strategy canvas, a sobering moment for many. They often find that their company looks exactly like everyone else's. That realization becomes a spark for change. 2. Visual exploration. Next, they go out into the field, visiting customers, non-customers, even rival industries, to discover what people truly value and what they ignore. This stage is about curiosity over confirmation. The goal is not to defend your old strategy, but to uncover unspoken needs. 3. Visual strategy fair. Teams present their new strategy canvases to colleagues, customers, and stakeholders, in essence, testing their vision in public. This creates a feedback loop that grounds creativity in reality. 4. Visual communication. Finally, the new strategy is turned into a single-page visual, a map everyone in the organization can understand at a glance. This is not a PowerPoint deck with 50 slides. It's a North Star, clear, bold, and emotionally compelling. A shift from logic to imagination.
What Kim and Mauborgne emphasize is radical. The future belongs not to the company that analyzes best, but to the one that imagines most vividly. Data can describe the past, but only imagination can design the future. When teams are encouraged to draw, to visualize, to simplify, they unlock a different kind of intelligence. This is where the blue ocean mind begins to form, a mindset that sees constraints as invitations to create. Example: the case of Southwest Airlines. Before Southwest Airlines disrupted the aviation world, airline companies competed on luxury, meals, and service. Southwest, by mapping the strategy canvas, realized something simple. Most travelers didn't want frills. They wanted reliable, low-cost, point-to-point travel. By cutting out extras, using smaller airports, and turning planes around quickly, Southwest redefined what air travel meant. It wasn't competing with other airlines anymore, it was competing with the car. That's how it created a blue ocean. Chapter 3. Reach beyond existing demand. The hidden majority. Non-customers. Most companies spend their time fighting over the same group of people, the ones already buying within their industry. They segment, analyze, and resegment these customers into increasingly narrow slices, trying to extract just a little more profit from each one. But Kim and Mauborgne argue that this approach leads to diminishing returns. The real growth, the kind that changes the game, lies beyond the existing customer base. In every industry, there are non-customers, the people who don't buy from you or from anyone in your field. They're the silent majority, often ignored because they don't fit the traditional marketing model. Yet they hold the greatest potential for transformation. The 3 tiers of non-customers. To help businesses systematically identify new demand, the authors introduce a brilliant framework: the 3 tiers of non-customers. Each tier represents a group that's progressively further away from your current market, but still reachable through creativity and empathy. 1. The first tier, soon-to-be non-customers. These are people who occasionally use your industry's products, but are on the verge of leaving. They're dissatisfied, frustrated, or simply bored. They might say, "There's nothing better, so I'll stick with it for now." Example: before Starbucks transformed coffee culture, millions of people drank bitter, low-quality coffee at diners and gas stations. They weren't passionate coffee lovers. They were settling. By offering a richer experience, ambiance, quality, and ritual, Starbucks turned these disenchanted consumers into loyal fans. Lesson: serve the discontented, and you'll grow beyond the middle. The second tier, refusing non-customers. These are people who choose not to use your industry's products, not because they can't, but because they won't. They reject what the industry offers, either due to inconvenience, price, or principle. Example: before the rise of budget airlines, many people simply refused to fly because it was too expensive or too complicated. Companies like Ryanair and EasyJet made air travel simple, affordable, and accessible, converting rejectors into travelers. Lesson: look for what people are avoiding and ask why. That why can point straight toward innovation. 3. The third tier, unexplored non-customers. This group sits farthest from your market, people who have never considered your product relevant to them. They don't think about it, talk about it, or see its use in their lives. And that's exactly where opportunity hides. Example: before Nintendo Wii, video games were largely targeted at young men. By designing motion-based games that were easy, social, and fun, Nintendo reached families, seniors, and even rehabilitation centers. They didn't compete with other consoles, they expanded the definition of gaming itself. Lesson: don't just ask, how do we sell more? Ask, who else could find value in what we do if only we changed how we deliver it?
Beyond segmentation, the human common denominator. Traditional marketing divides people into ever smaller categories: age, income, gender, region. But Blue Ocean thinking takes the opposite approach. It looks for commonalities rather than differences. What do all people crave? What universal emotions, frustrations, or desires connect them? By focusing on shared human experience, companies can design offerings that appeal across demographics, widening the ocean of demand. Example: when Apple launched the iPod, it didn't target tech-savvy millennials. It spoke to everyone who loves music. 1,000 songs in your pocket was a universal promise, simple, emotional, and irresistible. The psychology of non-customers. Non-customers are not mysterious strangers. They are often ordinary people who don't yet see value in your product, not because they lack need, but because you haven't spoken their language. Reaching them isn't about persuasion, it's about translation. Translate your value proposition into something they can feel. That's how you move from relevance to resonance. Blue Ocean companies don't push harder, they connect deeper. From demand capture to demand creation. This chapter marks a major philosophical shift. Most companies capture demand, they fight to attract existing buyers. But the great ones create demand. They reveal needs people didn't even know they had. That's why reaching non-customers is not a marketing tactic, it's an act of visionary empathy. The authors close with a beautifully counterintuitive insight. The biggest opportunities often hide where no one is looking, not in the market, but just beyond its edge. That edge, they suggest, is where the next blue ocean begins.
Chapter 4. Get the strategic sequence right. From idea to execution, a brilliant idea means nothing if it can't survive in the real world. Kim and Mauborgne insist that innovation must flow in a logical sequence, a disciplined path that ensures your blue ocean strategy doesn't drown in good intentions. The sequence follows this order. 1. Buyer utility. Does it truly create value for customers? 2. Price. Is the price attractive enough to draw mass adoption? 3. Cost. Can the company produce and deliver profitably at that price? 4. Adoption. What are the barriers preventing stakeholders from embracing it? Each step acts like a gate. You don't move forward until the previous one is solid. 1. Buyer utility. Creating genuine value. The first test of any strategy is deceptively simple. Does this idea make people's lives significantly better or easier? This is the utility proposition, and it's the foundation of every blue ocean success. To assess it, the authors introduce the Buyer Utility Map, a tool that examines how customers experience your product across 6 stages: purchase, delivery, use, supplements, maintenance, and disposal. And the 6 levers of utility: customer productivity, simplicity, convenience, risk reduction, fun or image, and environmental friendliness. The magic happens when you find a new combination, a place where customers struggle but competitors don't address it. That's where the value innovation lies. Example: Dyson reinvented the vacuum cleaner, not by adding more features, but by solving the one frustration everyone had: suction loss. It wasn't just a better vacuum, it was a new experience of cleanliness. 2. Price. The pull of mass appeal. Once you've created value, the next challenge is to set the right price, one that attracts a wide audience while discouraging copycats. Blue ocean pricing is not about premium exclusivity, it's about strategic accessibility. You want customers to say, "That's worth it," not "That's a luxury." The right price has to strike an emotional chord. It should feel fair, even generous. Example: Netflix, in its early days, priced subscriptions low enough to make renting DVDs effortless and guilt-free. Instead of fighting Blockbuster's late fees, Netflix made the entire concept irrelevant. 3. Cost. Delivering value profitably. A great product at the right price means nothing if it destroys your margins. That's why the next step is cost innovation, aligning your business model so that profits grow even as prices fall. The authors emphasize strategic pricing with strategic cost management. This means designing your operations around your blue ocean value, not the other way around. How? Eliminate costly features that don't add value. Simplify production or distribution. Use partnerships to share resources and risk. Example: iTunes made digital music distribution incredibly cheap. No physical stores, no inventory, just a clean, scalable system. It cut out entire cost layers while giving customers more value.
4. Adoption. Clearing the final obstacles. Even the best strategy can fail if people resist change. This stage deals with the psychological and organizational barriers that block adoption, from employees who fear disruption to partners who feel threatened. The key is communication and inclusion. Involve people early, listen to their concerns, and show them how the new vision benefits them personally. Innovation without buy-in is rebellion, not strategy. Example: when The Body Shop introduced its ethical, cruelty-free cosmetics, it faced skepticism from both suppliers and retailers. But by educating partners and aligning the brand with shared values, it turned resistance into advocacy. The blue ocean sequence in motion. When all 4 stages align, utility, price, cost, and adoption, something remarkable happens. The strategy becomes self-reinforcing. Customers flock in because they see value. Investors support it because it's profitable. And employees commit because it feels meaningful. This alignment is what the authors call value innovation in action. It's not about balancing trade-offs, quality versus price, innovation versus cost, but about breaking them entirely. That's what makes a blue ocean so calm compared to the bloody red waters of competition. The power of logical creativity. This chapter reveals a profound truth. Blue ocean strategy is both imaginative and methodical. It's creative enough to envision a world that doesn't exist yet, and logical enough to build a bridge to it. The authors show that by following the right sequence, you don't gamble on innovation, you engineer it. As Kim and Mauborgne summarize, value without profit is charity. Profit without value is exploitation. Value innovation exists only when both move forward together.
Chapter 5. Overcome Key Organizational Hurdles. From Strategy to Movement. Creating a blue ocean strategy is intellectually exciting, but implementing it inside a real organization is where the real battle begins. The authors describe this as moving from the boardroom to the front lines. A company isn't a machine, it's a collection of human minds, emotions, and fears. People don't automatically embrace change, they need meaning, trust, and proof. To make a blue ocean strategy succeed, leaders must overcome 4 major organizational hurdles. 1. The cognitive hurdle. People don't see the need for change. 2. The resource hurdle. There's not enough money or manpower. 3. The motivational hurdle. People are indifferent or resistant. And 4. The political hurdle. Powerful stakeholders block the way. Let's explore each one. 1. The cognitive hurdle. Opening eyes to reality. Many organizations fail not because people are lazy or incapable, but because they don't see the problem clearly. Executives often rely on reports and presentations, but numbers rarely inspire action. The authors suggest using tipping point leadership. It's about finding ways to make people see and feel the urgent need for change. Make the experience real. Don't just tell people about inefficiency, show them. Take them to the front lines where customers are frustrated. Let them see the pain that the current system causes. Example: the police commissioner of New York, Bill Bratton, didn't lecture officers with crime statistics. He took them into dangerous neighborhoods and made them witness the chaos firsthand. That visceral experience did what no PowerPoint ever could. Insight. When people see reality, they can't unsee it. Awareness is the first spark of transformation. 2. The resource hurdle. Doing more with less. When you announce a bold new vision, the first reaction you'll hear is, "We don't have the budget for that." But blue ocean leaders flip this thinking. Instead of asking for more resources, they redirect the ones they already have from unproductive areas to high-impact ones. This is called hotspots and cold spots analysis. Hotspots are activities that produce disproportionate results with few resources. Cold spots consume massive resources but deliver little impact. By reallocating resources from cold spots to hot spots, you can make dramatic improvements without extra spending. Example: in the French rail company SNCF, leaders cut investment in underused premium lounges and reinvested in on-time performance and comfort, things that really mattered to travelers. Insight: strategy isn't about how much you spend, it's about where you spend. 3. The motivational hurdle. Lighting the fire. Even if people understand and you find resources, enthusiasm is not automatic. Most employees ask silently, "What's in it for me?" Kim and Mauborgne recommend identifying and leveraging kingpins, influential individuals who can inspire others through action, not authority. Once you find them, create fishbowl management, a transparent environment where progress is visible. When everyone can see results, motivation becomes contagious. Example: in the case of a manufacturing firm, instead of rewarding top executives, the CEO celebrated a floor manager who improved output by 40%. The story spread quickly, showing everyone that change was real and rewarded. Insight: real motivation isn't pushed from the top, it spreads from visible wins.
4.
The political hurdle, neutralizing opposition. Every bold strategy threatens someone. There will always be losers in the short term, departments, partners, or executives who fear losing power, budget, or relevance. Instead of confronting them head-on, the authors advise tipping point politics. Here's how. Identify your angels, people who benefit from the change and will support it. Find your devils, those with the most to lose. Win over influencers who can sway neutral parties. Then get the angels on stage and silence the devils with facts, data, and public support. Example: when Ford launched the Taurus in the 1980s, it faced resistance from entrenched executives. But by empowering cross-functional teams and showcasing early wins, the project gained unstoppable momentum, eventually becoming a bestseller. Insight. Politics doesn't disappear, it's redirected by strategic leadership. The power of tipping point leadership. The term tipping point comes from sociology, the idea that small, well-aimed actions can create massive social shifts once they reach a certain momentum. In Blue Ocean strategy, tipping point leadership means focusing on the few critical factors that can tip the balance rather than trying to move the entire organization at once. It's not about pushing harder, it's about pushing smarter. As the authors summarize, transformations happen not by broad-based efforts, but by focusing on the factors that exercise disproportionate influence.
Chapter 6. Build execution into strategy. Why execution begins with trust. Most companies treat strategy and execution as two separate worlds. First comes the grand plan, crafted by top executives in boardrooms. Then, when it's time to execute, managers push the plan down the hierarchy, demanding compliance. The result? Resistance, confusion, and cynicism. Kim and Mauborgne flip this logic. Execution is not something that happens after strategy. It must be built into strategy from the start. When people feel heard, respected, and treated fairly, they're far more likely to execute a bold new direction with energy and commitment. This philosophy is what the authors call fair process. Fair process, the hidden driver of execution. Fair process is a simple but revolutionary idea. People care as much about the process as they do about the outcome. Even if they don't agree with every decision, they'll support it if they believe the process was fair, transparent, and inclusive. Fair process has three core principles. 1. Engagement. Give people a voice in decisions that affect them. 2. Explanation. Clearly explain why final decisions are made. 3. Clarity of expectation. Make sure everyone knows what's expected next. Let's unpack each. 1. Engagement. Giving people a voice. When people participate in shaping a strategy, they feel ownership. They stop seeing the company's goals as management's ideas and start seeing them as their own. This doesn't mean you must accept every opinion, but you must listen. People want to feel that their perspectives are heard and considered. Example: in a manufacturing firm transitioning to a blue ocean strategy, leadership invited workers to suggest process improvements. Many of those ideas became part of the official strategy, dramatically improving morale and efficiency. Insight.
Participation turns strategy from an order into a shared mission. 2. Explanation. Making the logic clear. Nothing frustrates employees more than decisions that seem arbitrary. Fair process requires transparency, explaining why decisions are made, how trade-offs were considered, and what principles guided the choice. When people understand the reasoning, even if they disagree, they're more likely to commit to the outcome. Example: a company cutting a product line explained that the funds would be redirected to innovations that ensured future growth. Because employees understood the bigger picture, support remained strong. Insight. Clarity transforms frustration into understanding. 3. Clarity of expectation. Defining what's next. After engagement and explanation, leaders must define exactly what is expected of each team, department, or person. Ambiguity is the enemy of execution. People can't deliver what they don't understand. Clear expectations align effort, eliminate confusion, and make it easy to measure success. Example: in Cirque du Soleil's transformation, every performer and technician knew precisely how their work supported the larger artistic and business goals, blending structure with creativity. Insight. Clarity creates confidence, and confidence drives action. The emotional logic behind fair process. Fair process works because it honors a deep human need, the desire to be seen, heard, and respected. When leaders treat people with fairness, they earn trust and voluntary cooperation. This is more powerful than compliance driven by fear or control. Kim and Mauborgne explained that in organizations that practice fair process, people share knowledge freely. They take initiative. They go beyond the minimum required because they feel emotionally invested in the company's success.
The ripple effect, from compliance to commitment. Traditional management often demands obedience. Blue ocean leadership, by contrast, inspires commitment. Commitment isn't about following rules, it's about believing in the mission. When employees see that their voices matter and their leaders act with integrity, they stop thinking like workers and start thinking like partners. This shift is what turns a strategy into a movement. Case study: the NYPD turnaround. When Commissioner Bill Bratton applied fair process principles in New York City's police department, results were astonishing. He engaged officers in defining problems. He explained decisions openly and shared the reasoning. He clarified what success looked like for every precinct. The result? Crime rates dropped dramatically, morale soared, and the department became a model for public sector transformation. The same logic applies to businesses. Execution succeeds when fairness becomes part of leadership DNA. In essence, people's willingness to trust their leaders and to go beyond the call of duty depends not on how much they agree with the strategy, but on how fair the process feels. Fairness, not authority, is what fuels execution. When fairness is built into strategy, a company becomes self-driving, powered by conviction rather than control.
Chapter 7. Align value, profit, and people propositions. The final chapter of Blue Ocean Strategy ties the entire framework together.
After learning how to reconstruct market boundaries, break away from competition, and build execution into your strategic DNA, the question becomes, how do you make it all sustainable? The answer lies in what Kim and Mauborgne call the three propositions: value, profit, and people. To sail safely across a blue ocean, your organization must keep these three aligned. If any one of them drifts off course, the whole strategy starts to sink. 1. The value proposition: creating compelling utility. The first step is offering something that delivers extraordinary value to buyers. Value here means more than quality or price. It means a leap in utility, something that truly makes customers' lives better. Blue ocean innovators don't obsess over outperforming rivals, they redefine what customers value altogether. For example, Cirque du Soleil didn't compete with traditional circuses by having more animals or clowns. Instead, it removed costly elements and added theater, storytelling, and music, turning the circus into a sophisticated artistic experience. The lesson: you don't win by doing what others do better, you win by doing what others haven't imagined. 2. The profit proposition: ensuring the strategy pays off. Innovation without profit is fantasy. The profit proposition ensures that your idea is not only valuable to customers but also viable for your business. This involves aligning price, cost, and adoption so the company can deliver the new value at a sustainable profit. Kim and Mauborgne propose the price corridor of the mass, setting a strategic price that attracts the broadest possible market while keeping the business model sound. If you price too high, you alienate the masses. If you price too low, you weaken your margins. Finding that balance is what makes a blue ocean thrive. Example: Southwest Airlines didn't become profitable by offering luxury. It offered reliable, low-cost travel between underserved routes. The company eliminated frills and used smaller airports, creating a cost structure that perfectly matched its value proposition. Profit alignment transforms creative ideas into enduring business models. 3. The people proposition: engaging hearts and minds. No strategy, no matter how brilliant, will work if your people don't believe in it. The people proposition ensures that employees, partners, and stakeholders are emotionally invested. This connects back to Chapter 6's idea of fair process: respect, clarity, and participation. When people feel included, they give more than compliance, they give commitment. And that commitment is what sustains innovation long after the excitement of launch has faded. Companies like Apple and Tesla didn't just design great products, they built cultures where people felt they were part of something transformative.
The power of alignment. The authors emphasize that success comes only when value, profit, and people are mutually reinforcing. If you offer great value but no profit, you can't survive. If you have profit but no emotional buy-in, execution fails. If your team is motivated but customers don't care, you lose traction. When these three propositions are in harmony, the result is a self-reinforcing system, one where innovation fuels motivation, motivation drives performance, and performance deepens value. It's a living ecosystem, not a business plan. Red versus blue ocean alignment. In red oceans, companies often prioritize profit over everything, squeezing workers, cutting costs, and pushing harder against competitors. In blue oceans, profit is achieved through value creation and with people, not at their expense. The emotional difference is enormous. Red oceans breed anxiety and burnout. Blue oceans create purpose and pride. This shift Kim and Mauborgne argue, is not just strategic but moral, a way to design organizations that win by improving the world they serve. Making it last, renewal and adaptation. No blue ocean lasts forever. Eventually, competitors will notice and try to imitate your success. That's why sustainable strategy is not about a single leap, but about continuous renewal, constantly re-examining what customers value, how technology evolves, and how your people grow. True blue ocean leaders don't cling to yesterday's victories. They stay curious, experimental, and courageous. They understand that the real secret is not one product or tactic. It's the ability to keep creating blue oceans again and again. Closing insight. The final message of Blue Ocean strategy is both practical and philosophical. Quote, "The future belongs to those who are willing to challenge boundaries, rewrite rules, and imagine new worlds." The authors urge readers to step beyond the illusion that success requires blood in the water. Instead, it demands imagination, empathy, and the discipline to align purpose with profit. A blue ocean isn't just a marketplace, it's a mindset, one that turns creativity into impact and competition into possibility.
Conclusion. Sailing beyond the horizon, the spirit of blue ocean thinking. In the end, Blue Ocean strategy is not merely a business manual. It's a philosophical invitation to reimagine how we pursue success. It challenges the very instinct that dominates modern competition, the idea that winning means beating someone else. W. Chan Kim and Renée Mauborgne offer a gentler, wiser counterpoint. Real success isn't about fighting harder, it's about thinking differently. Most people live their professional lives in the red ocean, a sea clouded by rivalry, where every gain feels like someone else's loss. Prices have slashed, margins thin out, and creativity dies under the pressure of survival. But those who choose the blue ocean path step into a new mental space, one of curiosity, courage, and creation. The human side of strategy. What makes this book timeless is not just its analytical brilliance, but its deep understanding of human motivation. Kim and Mauborgne remind us that innovation doesn't come from spreadsheets, it comes from imagination. Execution doesn't come from authority, it comes from trust. The organizations that thrive are the ones that treat people as partners in exploration, not as resources to be managed. They foster an environment where questioning the status quo is celebrated, where creativity is not an indulgence, but a duty. When value, profit, and people align, business becomes art. Why blue oceans matter more than ever. Today's world, flooded with technology, choices, and noise, has never been more competitive. Yet paradoxically, it has also never been more open to new possibilities. Entire industries are being reinvented, from how we work and travel to how we communicate, learn, and heal. Those who master the principles of blue ocean strategy are not just building companies, they're reshaping the future, designing worlds where innovation serves humanity instead of exhausting it. In an age obsessed with speed, this book teaches patience. In a world chasing domination, it teaches creation. And in markets driven by fear, it reminds us to dream. The final lesson. The goal is not to outpace others, but to outgrow your own limitations. The blue ocean mindset is about finding the courage to look where no one else is looking, to believe that there's still uncharted territory in business, creativity, and life. Every great discovery began with someone asking, "What if there's another way?" And that is the quiet revolution this book inspires. A movement from competition to contribution, from imitation to imagination, from surviving to truly thriving. If this journey through Blue Ocean Strategy inspired you to think bolder, to create freely, and to seek your own blue oceans, like, subscribe, and share this video to keep exploring ideas that shape minds and transform futures. Because the world doesn't need more fighters in the red ocean. It needs more dreamers who dare to sail beyond it.